In the 1890s, Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most influential philosophers of his time, faced the final stages of his mental and physical decline. After suffering a severe mental collapse in 1889, Nietzsche spent the last years of his life under the care of his family, primarily his sister, Elisabeth Förster Nietzsche. Many historians believe his condition was caused by syphilis, though this diagnosis remains debated among scholars. Despite his inability to continue writing or communicating coherently, Nietzsche's earlier works, such as Thus Spoke Zarathustra and Beyond Good and Evil, continued to gain recognition. In 1926, the Michelin Man, widely recognized as Bibendum, stood proudly beside an innovative advertising vehicle in Santa Clara, showcasing Michelin's creative approach to marketing. Created in 1898 by French cartoonist Marius Rossillon, Bibendum quickly became one of the world's most recognizable brand mascots. By the 1920s, automobiles had become increasingly common, and tire safety was gaining public attention. Michelin leveraged Bibendum not only as a mascot, but as an ambassador for tire durability and road safety. In 1948, Robert Ripley, an illustrator, author, and radio broadcaster, was at the height of his fame thanks to his widely successful Believe It or Not franchise. What began as a newspaper panel in 1918 grew into a multimedia phenomenon spanning radio shows, books, and eventually television broadcasts. Ripley traveled extensively, visiting over 200 countries, collecting bizarre artifacts and uncovering strange tales that would fascinate his audience. His talent for blending captivating illustrations with unusual stories made his work a household name. In 1942, the Manzanar War Relocation Center was established as one of 10 internment camps created following President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's Executive Order 9066. This order mandated the forced relocation and incarceration of approximately 120,000 Japanese Americans, two-thirds of whom were United States citizens. Families were uprooted from their homes, businesses, and communities and transported to remote camps under harsh conditions. Manzanar, located in California's Owens Valley, became one of the most well-known camps due to its size and the stories of resilience that emerged from those interned there. Despite being surrounded by barbed wire and armed guards, Japanese Americans at Manzanar established schools, gardens, and cultural programs in an effort to maintain a sense of normalcy and dignity. On February 18, 1930, astronomer Clyde Tombaugh made a historic discovery at the Lowell Observatory in Arizona when he identified Pluto, a celestial object that had long been theorized but never observed. Using a technique called blink comparison, Tombaugh meticulously analyzed photographic plates taken weeks apart, spotting the faint movement of what would become known as the ninth planet in our solar system. Around 1938, portable changing booths became a common sight on American beaches, offering a practical solution for the increasing number of families and tourists enjoying coastal recreation. These compact mobile structures allowed beachgoers to change into swimwear discreetly and comfortably, addressing the challenges of modesty and convenience in public spaces. In 1963, two children in Aberdeen, Scotland, built an extraordinary snowman that reached an impressive height of 17 feet, captivating the local community. That winter was marked by unusually heavy snowfall, creating ideal conditions for such an ambitious project. Around 1889, the tenement sweatshop on Ludlow Street in New York City revealed the challenging conditions faced by immigrant laborers during the Industrial Revolution. These overcrowded and poorly ventilated spaces housed workers, predominantly women and children, who spent long hours sewing garments for the rapidly growing fashion industry. Around 1918, during the height of the Spanish flu epidemic, a policeman was photographed scolding a man for not wearing a protective mask. The Spanish flu, caused by the H1N1 influenza virus, spread rapidly across the globe, infecting an estimated 500 million people and resulting in tens of millions of deaths. The United States Navy aircraft carrier United States ship Independence sailed alongside the renowned Italian training ship Amerigo Vespucci, a striking vessel launched on February 22, 1931, from the naval shipyard of Castellammare di Stabia, near Naples. In 1943, an unexpected friendship developed between Walt Disney and squadron leader Roald Dahl during the turbulent years of World War II. Walt Disney, known for his groundbreaking animated films, was producing propaganda cartoons aimed at boosting morale and supporting the Allied cause. Meanwhile, Roald Dahl, serving as a fighter pilot in the Royal Air Force, displayed immense courage in aerial combat against enemy forces. In April 1912, a crowd gathered anxiously in New York City, awaiting updates on survivors of the RMS Titanic, which tragically sank on April 15th after striking an iceberg. The catastrophe claimed over 1,500 lives. In April 1906, the streets of San Francisco were consumed by towering flames as residents stood helplessly, watching their city succumb to the aftermath of one of the most devastating earthquakes in history. Striking on April 18th with a magnitude of 7.9, the earthquake triggered massive fires that raged uncontrollably for days, reducing over 30,000 buildings to rubble and leaving more than 200,000 people homeless. Father Hans Schmidt, a Catholic priest who emigrated from Germany, gained infamy in 1913 when he was convicted of the brutal murder of a woman, an act that shocked the nation. Schmidt's heinous crime, which included drinking the victim's blood, not only led to his arrest, but also marked him as the first and only Catholic priest to be executed in the United States. His case highlighted the dark intersections of faith, crime, and scandal, drawing significant media attention and raising questions about morality and justice in early 20th century America, forever etching his name into the annals of criminal history. In 1930, a construction worker carefully tightened a bolt in the steel framework of the Empire State Building, one of the most ambitious architectural projects of its time. Built during the Great Depression, the skyscraper was completed in just 13 months, a remarkable achievement given the economic hardships and technological limitations of the era. Over 3,400 workers, many of them immigrants, labored at dizzying heights to assemble the building's 102 stories. Designed by the architectural firm Shreve, Lamb & Harmon, the Empire State Building held the title of the world's tallest building for nearly 40 years. Around 1912, Hans Langseth became known worldwide for having the longest beard ever recorded, measuring an incredible 17 feet 6 inches. Born in Norway in 1846, Langseth immigrated to the United States, where he spent much of his life farming in North Dakota. He began growing his beard as part of a competition in his youth, and over time, it became his defining characteristic. Langseth's beard was so long that he often carried it rolled up to prevent it from dragging on the ground. After his death in 1927, his beard was preserved and eventually donated to the Smithsonian Institution, where it remains on display. In 1912, Theodore Roosevelt, the 26th President of the United States, was honored not only for his leadership and progressive policies, but also for his active membership in Freemasonry. Roosevelt was initiated as a Master Mason in 1901 at Mateen Cock Lodge, number 806 in Oyster Bay, New York. His commitment to the Masonic Brotherhood aligned with the values of civic responsibility, integrity, and service to the community. During a visit to Spokane, Washington, Roosevelt participated in Masonic ceremonies, drawing attention to the deep connections between prominent political figures and the organization. In February 1944, United States Marine Private Theodore James Miller returned to the attack transport ship Arthur Middleton after enduring 2 intense days of combat on Engebe, part of the Eniwetok Atoll in the Pacific Theater during the Second World War. The Battle of Eniwetok was a critical campaign aimed at securing the atoll for use as an airfield and logistical base, allowing Allied forces to continue their island-hopping strategy toward Japan. On June 12, 1917, landing companies disembarked from the French pre-dreadnought battleship Vérité as part of an operation aimed at seizing the forts of Piraeus during the First World War. This strategic maneuver was intended to secure control over the vital port of Athens, a critical point for naval and supply routes in the Mediterranean theater. In December 1941, Japanese bicycle infantry played a critical role in the rapid advance towards Singapore during the early phase of the Second World War. Equipped with bicycles, these infantry units moved swiftly across challenging jungle terrain and bypassed heavily defended roads, enabling them to maintain momentum and surprise their opponents. On February 22, 1909, President Theodore Roosevelt addressed the officers and crew aboard the battleship Connecticut in Hampton Roads, Virginia, as the vessel returned from the historic voyage of the Great White Fleet. This fleet, consisting of 16 battleships, circumnavigated the globe from 1907 to 1909, serving as both a demonstration of naval strength and a diplomatic mission to foster international goodwill.
The Verrazano Narrows Bridge, under construction in 1964, connecting Staten Island and Brooklyn, New York. When it opened in November, it became the longest suspension bridge in the world, symbolizing New York's growth and engineering innovation.
In 1912, Charlotte Shipley gained attention in Cincinnati, Ohio, for charging her electric car using a hand-cranked electrical generator, an innovative solution during an era when automobiles were still a relatively new phenomenon. In 1897, Louis-Victor Bayeux, a veteran of Napoleon Bonaparte's army, passed away at the remarkable age of 105, becoming one of the last direct links to the Battle of Waterloo. Born in 1792, Bayeux fought in the historic battle on June 18, 1815, where Napoleon's forces faced the combined armies of the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian Field Marshal Gebhard Lebrecht von Blücher. Waterloo marked the final chapter in Napoleon's military career, ending his reign and altering the course of European history.